May McGee won a legal case against the Irish government over access to contraceptives. That single challenge helped push Ireland's birth control laws open. Her case happened when birth control access was tightly restricted in Ireland. The dispute was about government rules, not a private family argument. By taking legal action, McGee forced that restriction into a formal challenge. The case exposed how closely the state controlled contraceptives. She won, and the case became part of the pressure for later reform. Ireland eventually liberalized its birth control laws after that wider push. A case about access to contraceptives ended up affecting national policy. One court victory became part of the road to changed birth control law in Ireland. Charles the Bold had the Perron of Liège dismantled and removed after the city's uprising failed. The Perron was a civic monument, tied to the city's public identity and authority. When a city resisted, that symbol mattered as much as any wall or gate. Charles the Bold ordered its removal as punishment and control. Taking the monument away turned the city's defeat into a public act. Once removed, the Perron no longer stood as Liège's public marker. Its absence became part of the punishment the city could see every day. A civic symbol had become proof of who still held power in Liège. The removed Perron carried that message far beyond the uprising itself. After Suharto resigned, soldiers were sent to guard his former house from mobs. He had just stepped down in 1998, after 32 years of rule ended by protests and economic collapse. Indonesia's 1st Mechanized Infantry Brigade took the deployment, ringed around the house, to keep order during the transition. At the same time, B.J. Habibie became president and launched reformacy, a period of political change. A fallen ruler still needed troops outside his home, while Indonesia moved toward a different political system. Lael Anderson, the voice of wartime anthem Lili Marleen, later represented Germany at Eurovision in 1961. During World War II, her version of Lili Marleen became widely known, and people on both sides of the war heard it. That unusual reach made the song bigger than one side of the conflict, so her voice stayed recognizable after the war ended. In 1961, Germany chose her for Eurovision, moving a wartime name into a modern international contest. The same singer remembered for Lili Marleen then stood for Germany in peacetime Europe, carrying one voice into a new public arena. A Chopin piece may contain only one variation by Chopin. The work is variations on Non più mesta from Rossini's La Cenerentola, and it is attributed to Frédéric Chopin. Modern scholarship, including research for the Chopin National Edition, suggests Chopin likely wrote the minor key variation. That means the famous name may cover only part of the music, with limited involvement in the rest of the piece. So a work long linked to Chopin may be only partly his, even while it remains attached to his name in music history. Li Xinchuan fled the Mongol invasion, then was later allowed back to his old workplace. He was a Chinese historian in the Southern Song dynasty, and he had been working on annals of that court. Those annals were the dynasty's historical record, so the work depended on memory, documents, and trained judgment. After the invasion, he returned to that post instead of being cut off from it. His return shows that the Southern Song still made room for record-keeping, even after flight and disruption. During the 1989 coup attempt in the Philippines, Suprapto Martosatomo turned his residence into shelter for Indonesian students. The students were Indonesian, and they were far from home when the crisis unfolded. His house became the nearest protected place he could offer. He did not send them into the streets. He sheltered them at his residence, using a private home as temporary refuge during the coup attempt. That choice changed the house's role for a short time. It stopped being only a home and became a place of protection. In the middle of a public crisis, a private residence in the Philippines briefly served Indonesian students as refuge. Khachaturian's violin concerto folds several themes from Armenian folk songs into one classical work. Those themes came from folk songs, not just from a single original tune. The concerto keeps the violin at the center, but the material beneath it is older than the concert hall. Khachaturian folded that folk material into the concerto's concert form, so the borrowed themes could move with the violin and orchestra. The process turned folk memory into composed structure. The result is a classical concerto with a clearly Armenian musical base. It sounds built for performance, yet its themes point back to folk songs. That means a concert work can carry folk memory inside its own design. In Khachaturian's violin concerto, the source material stays audible as concert music.